Today, I'm going to talk about a date I had with Jeff over President's Day weekend. And then I'm going to talk about, I had got a couple of listeners' questions that I kind of filled in there. Um, One was from how to have that conversation to start the ball rolling towards this. And the other one was talking about what if a woman can only have exterior orgasms? What is her role in the lifestyle? Then I kind of went into stimulating the G spot. The nice thing about a long weekend is that you have more time to um, do things that you normally wouldn't. Normally, you wouldn't have it as much time to do everything because you have this extra weekend day. And that was something that I found myself with on President's Day. And so I invited over my friend Jeff, who also had extra time because he also was off on President's Day. So I had invited him over on Sunday, and he was supposed to be there early evening, and he ended up getting there a little bit late because he got stuck in traffic. So that kind of threw timing off a little bit at my household, but it ended up working out just fine. So he came over, and that man knows how to start the fountain and then just keep the fountain running. It is impressive, the kind of mess that he's capable of making. And yes, I do blame him. And I actually blame a lot of people when the mess gets really bad because that doesn't happen when I'm by myself. So I have proof that it's not me, except everybody knows that it is me. And so it's very hollow, my argument. But he actually takes the blame for it because he knows that he's got a part in it. He starts with finding my G spot and waking it up. Now, this is important to all of those women out there who are like, I don't have vaginal orgasms. And believe me, for a very long time, I did not either. I did not have vaginal orgasms because I did not realize what it was going on inside of me that was waking my G spot up. Because I'll be honest with you, when somebody plays with your G spot, when you first start, it feels like they're playing with your bladder. It feels like extra pressure, and you feel like you have to pee, but not quite pee. And I'll get into that more. But anyway, so he wakes up my G spot, and waking up my G spot is vital for this entire operation. Okay. In order for me to be the Bellagio fountain, in order for me to be, you know, something spectacular, it has to start with some startup. Okay. It doesn't just automatically, it does, but it's not as quick. It takes longer if you don't prime the pump, basically. So he is very, very good at going in, locating my G spot, two-fingered rub right there across it, hook, hook, hook. And he's very, very good because I told him what he needed to do. And he listened to me, and he just does it now. I don't have to tell him anymore because he's very EQ, very smart, he's very, very, yeah. Oh, so good. So, because of the fact that comes to, he comes from, A, he listens to the show, and B, he listens to me when I talk. When I tell him this is what I need, he hears me say that and then he gives it to me. I once told him that I was playing with a guy and he was holding my ankles and it was, uh, and he grips my ankles when we play. Not like every single second, but like in those intense moments when he wants me positioned in a certain spot, he will hold my ankle and it is mind blowing. Um, a little hand on the throat, mind blowing. The way this man listens to me, understands what I'm looking for, and then gives it to me is nothing short of supernatural, nothing short of miraculous. It is amazing to play with somebody who not only hears you, but understands what it is that you're looking for and then provides it. He's phenomenal and can't highly recommend. I mean, I would stamp his ass with an A plus if I could. He is very good. And for some reason, like okay, let me start kind of at the beginning. I of course gave him a thank you for coming to my house blowjob because I think everybody should warm up a little bit. He warms me up, I warm him up. Um, and then he put me in doggy right at the edge of the bed so that he could find my G spot and warm it up. And then he fucked me in that position. And it was definitely fucking cum falls. It was splish splash. It was, oh my God, my carpet. Um, it was all the things. And then after a while, my bed lost its ability to be a bed on that side and sort of collapsed. I have a bed that air goes in and out, and so it if you sit on the edge of it for too long, it just sort of like crumples at the edge, and you just sort of like slide off of it. So it's super handy for moments like these. But so I slipped off, and then he put me on my back, and he fucked me. I mean, hard. And just that edge of primalness, um, that deep pounding, like, with some smacking of the ass and some hair pulling. And oh my God, was it fantastic? So it was phenomenal. And we had such a good time. And my husband was downstairs the whole time, like just listening to this very active, very primal, very intense fucking upstairs. And then we sort of paused and took a breather and we talked for a very long time. We talked for probably about a half an hour. And then I wasn't sure if it was over or not, but then we did a second round. And the second round, oh my God, he did something that caused my body to come so hard that it hit him. Ooh, sorry. Hit him, bounced off of him, sprayed all over the side of my bed, all over me. And we had already ruined an entire towel. So, like, it was just at this point, my bed getting just disasterized. FEMA, the whole deal. And it was so awesome. We did, so we, and then at some point, I think we both realized that we were starving because my husband had started cooking downstairs. Um, and I was like, okay. And so we sort of finished up and then headed downstairs. I was hoping to snatch his soul more than I did. I did not snatch his soul as many times as I had hoped to. And we were talking about, like friends and parties and things that we'd been doing recently. And um, it was exciting. It was so much fun. And I was so just grateful. Now, I then I fed him and he stayed to watch movies and stuff like that. And it was such a great night. It was so much fun. We chilled and you know, had dinner and it was really good. So I have a question from Axel. I love your podcast, longtime listener. Question for your show. My wife and I are happily married going on 10 years. We met on FetLife and our relationship grew from there. Role wise, I am my wife's dominant. I have recently gotten more and more interested in the idea of playing with another. I'm not sure gender wise or play style. My wife is bi. How do I bring it up to her? I'm not looking for a relationship or adding someone, just looking for friend or friends that we could both play with. Um, every conversation about lifestyle is a gamble. And I'm not saying that to intimidate anyone, but you have to make a bet. You have to, and there are ways to soften the ground, and I'm not going to lie about that. There are ways to, you know, role play in the bedroom and having a conversation about how hot somebody is. The conversations that we start as a joke sometimes lead to the deeper conversations. When my husband and I first started, it was actually a Katy Perry song, I Kissed a Girl, that kind of led to a conversation about trying the lifestyle. And because it started with that song, I had a complete misconception of what it is my husband was looking for from the lifestyle. But that's not to say that it didn't lead somewhere to where we could become very honest with each other and tell each other everything. Okay. It didn't, I wasn't kept in the dark for very long, let's just say. So, that being said, there's no right way or wrong way to start a conversation. You can start it with a very soft bet, like, I kissed a girl and I liked it. And then have that lead to, huh, you want that? Is that what you're looking for? Is that what you want to see? That's a very soft way to start a very difficult conversation. Now, my husband and I have had other conversations that started and were very, very badly prepared. I did not soften the dirt at all. And I ended up throwing it out there on the ground. And when I threw it out there on the ground, it did not get a great reaction. But that's because when you spring something on somebody, it can be difficult for them. And because of the fact that they're hearing it defensively, you're not maybe getting your message across. So I find a softer approach, a role play or a a casual comment that can kind of be veered into a deeper conversation can help you navigate through the defense mechanisms and get you to the point where you are having the real conversation. Having the honest, this is what I want conversation. It is not the easiest thing to approach any one piece of this from like it's hard. It's hard to get the conversation started, and I'm not going to lie about that. It took a while to get the conversation started, and it took a series of conversations to get to the point where we were both fully understanding what it was we were talking about. Start the conversation softly, and from there build on it. It took my husband months to convince me that he was okay with this. Months to convince me that he did not have a problem with it. And it took me months after the first time I did it to do it again. And that says a lot about the fear, the miscommunications. But now that we're here in this spot, in this place, I feel so free to tell him whatever I need to tell him, because I have found that thinking what he thinks, what I think he thinks, doesn't always match what he's actually thinking. And the only way to get to what somebody's actually thinking is to have a conversation. And, you can start with a TV show, or you can start with something you read, or you can start with blah, or I've been listening to this podcast, or whatever it is, to ease your way into a conversation about something. Now, the one thing I will say is being a dominant puts all of that into a new realm. It puts it into more of you can take it to a domination thing and say, this would please me if you did this. But that's not really generating the kind of consent that I think is essential to lifestyle. When you tell somebody who you have a dominant relationship with that you want them, they may take that as a domination thing. And that kind of consent can cause some icky. It can cause some resentments. So take it out of the realm of DS. Okay. Take it out of that for a moment and talk to her about what monogamy means to her. What does monogamy mean to me? And I'll be honest, what monogamy means to me is I sleep with my husband at the end of every night. That is our monogamous. He is the one that I go home with. He is the one that I live with. He is the one and that is our monogamy. No matter how many times I fuck someone else, that's not what our monogamous relationship is built on. Our monogamous relationship is built on sleeping in the same bed, going to bed together, living a life together, being on that kind of a schedule together. So that's how you need to differentiate if this is what you're looking for. Because if you put it in terms of DS, while it is known throughout all of Christendom that the submissive has all the power and she has the power to veto anything, a lot of times it is a test of our own inner strength to be able to do the thing that's hard, to be able to do the thing that's being asked of us by our dominant. It is the thing we're trying to achieve. So for somebody in a DS relationship, in order to get clear and honest consent, you have to take it out of that realm and discuss what it is that monogamy means to you. I think that's vitally important to anybody that you put in contact with your wife. Because without clear consent, that person can do damage. Unintentional. Nobody's really at fault. But the thing we're trying to avoid is damage. Okay? That is just my own 2 cents on that particular topic. I hope some of it helped. And if anybody has any other ideas as to how to bring this up, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. So I got a question from a listener, Denise. Studies say that more than 50% of women can't vaginally achieve the big O. Yet your podcast speaks massively of you achieving multiple O's during your sex party experiences. But as a woman who wants to consider participating in the LS party, who doesn't ever achieve vaginal O, who also happens to be incredibly small, if you know what I mean, is a party even possible for me? I can waterfall with a finger, but so obviously I can't speak from personal experience to this, okay? This is not something that I will know firsthand, but I can bring you into the lifestyle the same way anybody with reservations comes in. You are allowed to be whatever kind of sexual person you wish to be at the party because consent comes from you, okay? So if you are looking at these men and they are coming for you and they're asking you to play and you don't feel comfortable playing with the size of their equipment, then you have to just be vocal about that and just say, I would love to, but the only hole you're going to fit in is the one I make with my hands, kind of thing. That being said, there is no such thing as one type of party, okay? I go to parties that are designed to celebrate big, beautiful women, okay? I go to parties that are designed to flatter big, beautiful women because I am putting myself into a situation where that's what I'm looking for, okay? Parties are just that. They're a collection of people that are there to have a good time. But you are not there. I have one lady who has come to multiple parties of mine who literally only gives blowjobs. I do not know why she only gives blowjobs, but that is her preferred way to play. So, if you are looking for a type of party or you are looking for a partner who can go to these parties with you and enjoy the lifestyle parties with you, there are ways that you can find what it is that you are looking for. Now, I am not super well versed in only achieving actually that's not true. When I was much younger, I actually did I could only achieve an orgasm with clitoral stimulation. But due to a lot of factors, I actually was trained on how to waterfall. And that training came from a machine that we bought and a little bit of research. And now I can't shut the waterfall off. Okay. The machine that we bought was the Symbian, and it completely altered the way my body, it completely woke up my G spot and made it part of the play. Okay. I am not recommending for anyone to go out and buy a $1,500 machine to enjoy. Well, actually, it was $1,500 years ago. I am not recommending that for anyone. Okay. What I am recommending is I have never been to a party where you were forced to hurt yourself or put yourself in a position where you would be hurt. And there are guys who go to the party who literally just want to eat pussy. And I don't know why they only want to eat pussy. I don't know whether it's because it's intimidating. Okay. Lifestyle parties are intimidating for both sexes. Okay. When females go there, they're comparing themselves to the other females and wondering if there's anything about them that is going to draw attention from the males when they have her to look at. And it's just basic insecurity. It's human nature. And it's the kind of thing we all go through. And I've actually talked about my own struggles with it in the past. And I have been a pouty disaster at more than one party because of the fact that I was under the impression that there is only one specific body type. Now, men go and they get intimidated by the cock sizes. Okay. There is a variety of cocks for a variety of reasons. And each one can provide pleasure if used in the right way. Okay. I know that there are all kinds of parties out there. And I know that you, with a little bit of research, can find the right fit for your vagina, for your sexual needs. And you can address your issues with the party planner and let them know, hey, these are a couple of things that I face. And they can either blow you off, which basically means you need to find another party planner, or they can be a guide and basically take you to the people that will match what it is that you need. Because I know for sure that party planners are kind of aware of a lot of stuff. My husband watches when we throw a party, he knows what's happening with all the people. And he can tell you, this guy loves oral. This guy loves this. This guy loves that. It is very easy to join the lifestyle. And if you're intimidated by what you're seeing, there's no reason that you have to play. Okay? I am a huge, huge advocate for going to a party to see what the deal is. to see what's there for you, to see what's going to work for your situation. And I know I talk about my parties, the way I go to parties very openly because that's my experience. And that's the only experience I can really draw from. And that's why my podcast is more geared towards what I encounter. That's not to say it's the only thing there. And that's not to say that you, in whatever situation you're in, are not equipped to go to a party. Just because I've described my party one way doesn't mean that your party can't be described in a different way. And if you do go to a lifestyle party, I really, really, really hope you reach out to me and tell me how it was and what your experience was. I would love to share it. If any of you have lifestyle party if any of you have things that you want to share on the podcast that you think will help other people, I would love to hear about it. Because as I said, I am one perspective. And not everybody can do the thing that I do. And not everybody feels the same way about sex that I do. And I would love to hear alternative ideas for what lifestyle means to each one of you. So this is all going to be very anecdotal. None of this is scientifically based. Most of this is based solely on my personal experience. Okay. Training your G spot. All right. So a lot of women worry that they're not having internal orgasms. But the fact is that you can kind of train your body to have more internal orgasms, or at least some internal orgasms. Because when I first started having sex, I never had a vaginal orgasm. It took time to develop like a skill. I had to learn my body a little bit to figure it out. And while I'm simply saying this has nothing to do with those people who absolutely cannot, and I apologize for that in advance. But your G spot can be trained to come and play because there's a bundle of nerves in your clit, okay? And that bundle of nerves is actually connected to things inside of you as well. So the G spot is basically the other side of your clit, as far as I understand it. So when you wake that up and bring that to the party, it tends to be more fulfilling for women. The G spot is located directly inside from the clit. So if you can't find the clit, you're never going to find the G spot. That's just math. So what I do, and I've told you about the hook before, but the G spot took some serious coaxing. And when I first started doing it, it really felt like people were playing with my bladder. Okay. It is so closely connected to the bladder that it kind of crosswires in your brain for a while until you can get your G spot to wake up and swell away from the bladder. Okay. So when you're first starting out, it literally feels like they're attacking your bladder. But rest assured, it's probably the same area that you need to be in. Okay. That is vitally important because when I first started, it was all bladder all the time. and it was really freaky, and I kept thinking that I was peeing on people, and I was like, "What the hell is happening?" And but it was a long process to figure out what the hell was going on. So, well, not a long process. I mean, in the scope of things, it only took like a short period of time. But the fact is that there is a lot of lack of information going on with the female reproductive system. There's not a lot of talking about what's happening inside of women. So, you got to think about your body logically. Think about physics and aerodynamics and all of those things that make the world turn, okay? Because the same things are going on within you. Where there's a one side, there's an opposite side. That kind of stuff, okay? So, um this was not an easy process for me to comprehend when I first started doing it. And stimulating, it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to put it in terms that a man can understand. If you have ever had your prostate pleasured, if you've ever had your prostate massaged, there are two ways to get to your prostate. One through your taint and the other from inside. That's the exact thing that is going on with the clit and the G spot. They are two sides of the same fucking coin. Okay? So, when you stimulate, that causes it to swell. When it swells, it becomes more present when the penis enters the vagina. And when it becomes more present, it allows more nerve endings to be stimulated. So all you're trying to do is wake it up, bring it to the party, and let it have some fun. Now, I am not going to tell you that every single woman is going to be able to do this, but if you have two sides of a clitoris, if you have two sides of a prostate, if you have two sides of a coin, you probably have the mechanics. Okay? It is it, and I when I read that thing, when I read that question from my listener, she can stimulate through fingering. That means if she started with the fingering and she got the fingering done really, really well, that it would probably echo into the penetration. It is easier to experiment with someone that you trust and be frank, be honest, say things, and then try to figure out what it is that's going on. You need to have the ability to know your own body well enough to have, and if you cannot have an orgasm through penetrative sex and you have to have a toy, there's really nothing stating that you can't bring a toy to the party. The last party I went to, my husband found a mini vibe and I used the fuck out of it. I was vibrating that clit like it was a harp string. I was trying. I was using my clit. I was using everything I had in my bucket to make myself to give myself the most amount of pleasure I could. Because I don't care what anybody says. That is the reason I'm going to parties. So, for me, it is vitally important that we take the time to understand what it is that will give us the most amount of pleasure. That being said, I cannot speak to women who only have like, it's been a long time since I only had clitoral orgasms. But if you only have clitoral orgasms and your vagina is very small, specify that when you go to play, like I said in the other segment. But what I'm talking about right now is training your vagina to react to more stimulus, more stimulation. Give it the opportunity to surprise you. Start with fingering, start with clitoral massage, start with G-spot massage, start with anything you can to get to the point where, and you know what? I have found at parties that if I tell someone who's actually freaking listening to me, because believe me, I've told other people and they weren't listening to me. But if you tell people and they're actually fucking listening to you, they will help you find the maximum allowed amount of pleasure. That's just a given. So, but you have to know how to tell them what you're looking for and how to give it to you. And that, my friends, is where self-exploration comes in super fucking handy. Thank you so much for joining me today on Pineapple Pinup, the Hot Wife Life. If you have any questions or would like to just chat, you can give me a holler on my socials, which are located in the show description. You can email me at pineapplepinuppod@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing if you're hearing anything you want to talk about.